What's up guys, it's Josh here and you're watching Daily Curiosity, and today I want to talk about cold immersion or cold therapy. I've been doing ice baths for about the last sort of 3 to 4 years. I get friends ask me all the time, hey, why do you do this? You know, what does it do for you? All those kinds of questions. So I thought I'd do a quick video on it. For me, my first exposure to sort of like cold therapy was through Wim Hof and the Wim Hof method. I think I saw him on a podcast, and within 12 months I went to one of his seminars on the Gold Coast and haven't really looked back since. For me, it's sort of like a Sunday tradition. It's something I do most Sundays when I can. I guess with like Wim Hof, he's a super interesting guy, and there's a heap of science which I'll probably throw on the back end of this video. If you look him up, I think he's got 26 world records. I just looked up some of the stuff that he's done. It's pretty insane. 2007 he climbed to 22,000 feet at Mount Everest, only in shorts and shoes, so it's pretty insane. He ran a half marathon, the Arctic Circle, in 2009, wearing only a pair of shorts, and he hadn't trained at all, and that was in minus 20 degrees Celsius. He's got a whole bunch of like cold endurance records when it comes to being submerged in either icy water or just actually like raw ice, so actually being exposed to the ice. You check him out, like he's a really interesting guy. What's even more interesting is the back end of why he actually got into this cold immersion and these sort of breathing techniques, and that was after he lost his wife in '95 to suicide. So it was after that, he had 4 kids to raise, and he was really looking into how to treat depression and I guess, you know, how to get the body feeling its best. So there was a whole bunch of stuff that he sort of, I guess, was moved by and sort of drew him into this field. I had a look. The breathing techniques he used are based on sort of like a Tibetan breathing method. But what I'll do now, guys, is I'll take you through the breathing method and then we'll jump in the ice afterwards. So all I'm going to do right now, I'm going to always time myself just to see how long it takes. I'm going to do 30 breaths, so I'm going to do 30 full inhalations. So I'm going to start with the belly, then go to the chest, then to the head. And after I breathe in, I'm just going to do a partial exhalation. So basically it's a so I'll do 30 of those, and on the 30th breath, fully exhale and then hold my breath for as long as I can. And then after I've held my breath, I'm going to take a big breath in, I'm going to hold it for about 10 seconds, and I'm going to go through that process for about 3 or 4 times. So there are recovery breaths. I normally go for about 2 or 3 rounds through this breathing before you hop in the ice, and it makes a major difference from how much of the cold you can tolerate. So I'll take you through now. So there's the breathing done. It's pretty normal to feel a little bit lightheaded because it is basically a form of hyperventilation. It's time to jump in the ice. So I just realized I didn't even set my camera to record. Great. I was just saying, so got my little rubber ducky here for the temp. The ice is already starting to melt. It's about, well, it was 10 degrees, now it's about 14 degrees. So basically, yeah, this is never fun. I used to hate cold water and I don't love it now, but I found it's a lot easier to tolerate. So generally after you get in, you sort of go through some breathing. You really want to try and slow your breath down and just control your body's reaction to the cold water. But yeah, it's on 14 now, so I consider this quite warm. During winter I can get the bath, just with the water temperature being sitting already around sort of 17, 18. With a few bags of ice you can get it down to about 3 or 5 degrees, and that is mentally very challenging to get through. But I must admit my tolerance for cold water has gone up significantly after doing this, and just my tolerance to the cold altogether. But I think there's something to anything that you have to put your mind to that is going to be like a mental struggle. You always feel better afterwards, after you do it. Like it makes you feel like you've accomplished something. So there's definitely some science that I'll explain about feeling good, but I think mentally there's something about putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation or going through some form of struggle, and then I know afterwards you always feel better for it. So I'm just going to sit here and chill for a little bit, and yeah, I'll give you guys a breakdown after. It's always good to do a head dunk as well for that mammalian dive reflex. That's an ice bath. Yeah. So there you go, guys. That's my sort of ice bath experience with the Wim Hof method. I guess the big part of the science behind it is to do with that mental health sort of side effects, and I've got a little just a little blurb here that I'll read just from ScienceDaily.com, and that is, researchers hypothesized that by generating a stress-induced analgesic response in periaqueductal grey matter, the Wim Hof method may promote the spontaneous release of opioids and cannabinoids in the brain. This effect has the potential to create the feeling of well-being, mood control, and reduce anxiety. So when I first heard about this, I thought this guy was completely full of shit. I didn't sort of believe it. One of my mates was explaining it, and I'm like, this just sounds like just sort of hocus pocus sort of stuff. And coming from a science background, it was sort of quite hard to, I guess, go through that process and understand that you can control the autonomic nervous system. And he has got multiple studies out there. So there's studies showing exposure to cold and the ability to regulate skin temperature and then also core temperature. There's another study out there, and he talks about this all like when he's in interviews and stuff like that. But there's a really good, I think Vice did it, doco that's on YouTube. That's basically, if you just type in Iceman, that'll come up, or I'll try and include the link in the description. But what he did was basically went to researchers and sort of tried to collaborate with them to prove some of the benefits of the breathing and the cold exposure. And he was exposed to a control bacteria that normally would make you feel quite nauseous, and there'd be several side effects. So he went through his breathing, then was exposed to the bacteria and basically didn't have any side effects. So the researchers thought that was just like a unique benefit that he had of himself. Then he said, no, that's fine, like I'd be able to train people to do this. So he took complete novices, and I think he had a 7-day window, and he ended up training them over 3 days. They had exposure to the bacteria, and they had minimal to no side effects. So he's done that kind of stuff, but then he's also worked with some of the big universities. Can't even remember exactly who, but it was like Harvard or someone quite prestigious, and just showing the benefits in regards to the neurotransmitter release as well that you get whilst sort of going through this process, like jacking up your norepinephrine, and being able to sort of simulate that in an environment where someone's just sitting, breathing, and going through breath holds. But yeah, I'll try and link as much of his studies and sort of docos in the description, just so you can have a read if you'd like. But yeah, there's a wealth of data out on him now, and there's continuing studies that are going on as well. So I guess the big question is, well, why do you do it? Besides the science, and like I mentioned, just going through some sort of form of struggle, like you definitely feel better afterwards. Like you get that sort of really positive vigor where you feel just good. And for me, I think that inflammation is a massive thing as well. Like we all use ice in response to an injury or something like that, to bring down inflammation, but just for the whole body, like your joints definitely feel better afterwards. And the ability to withstand like that cold bath, I wouldn't be able to go through and sit in the bath for as long as I can without doing the breathing. Like that definitely makes a massive difference. Apologies, I just forgot to press record before I jumped in. So I was sitting there chilling and talking to the camera, and I realized I hadn't pressed record. So yeah, a lot of the ice had melted. But yeah guys, if you want to try it, all of this stuff's online, all the methodology. Just make sure when you're doing it that you do the breathing only on land. Don't do the breathing in water, because you are going through a form of hyperventilation, and if you're doing it in the water, there's a possibility you can pass out. Like I mentioned, there's heaps of data out there on him, so yeah, go check it out, have a look at it, and yeah, discover some of the benefits to cold exposure. But anyway guys, thanks for watching, catch you next time.